All right. Greetings, brothers and sisters in podcast land. Welcome to the most righteous and most ethereal podcast on planet Earth, The Real Short Box. And my three podcast brethren, starting with, to my left, he is the Sultan of Youngstown, Ohio, the pontificator of the facts, the Calvin Coolidge of the thespian arts. He is Darren Boonell.
Oh, you know I don't feel good about you putting my last name on the air like that. But
well, it says it on the screen. I'm so sorry.
I will not be messing with you. You got a honey badger in the background.
Oh, man. But he's also a lover and a curtailer of R2-D2, as you can see in the background. To his right, he is the Laird of North Hollywood, the third of his Irish-Scottish name, the keeper of the short box, and the Pittsburgh Steelers' #2 fan. For he is the McDonald's of all people. He is Donald, #3.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Happy to be here. What a pleasure it is for you to see me today.
Yes, to see your face once again. But last but not least, to his right and on the lower part of my screen, he is the Viceroy of Napa Valley. He is the fool killer of the unwashed masses. He is the birthday boy from this past Friday. He is July's beloved son, for he is the one, the only, Mr. Jared.
Woo! Wakanda forever. Good to be here.
Yes.
And I promise this chair is not going to fall today. See?
Yes. Don't let it happen. And of course, I am your Supreme Chancellor, Dr. Kevin.
Wow. That was quite the opening, sir. Jeez.
Thank you. And we have
buffer opening.
Oh,
was nice.
Well, thank you. but what we have today, gentlemen, is a special live stream. One considering a topic that probably weighs in on many people's minds, may even disturb you at times during the evening when you think about your favorite comic book or franchise. You get cold sweats at night wondering how come they did this. Why can they have not done a better job?
Why? Hey, guys, by the way, I posted on Facebook, so grab that link and run with it.
Yeah.
Facebook and YouTube, or just Facebook?
I posted it on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
We're live on YouTube, but I posted it on Facebook.
Okay, excellent.
You can text your friends, your family, your cousins, people you don't like. Don't matter.
Yeah.
People we don't like.
Now this is just, this is a relatively optimistic podcast when it comes to comics. Like, we're all active readers, or we're at least active in the culture of comics. So we're really proud of all the things that are happening in the comic book world. But just the reality is, you cannot have a Hall of Fame all the time. Sometimes you need a Hall of Shame.
True.
And I expect this episode to not only be kind of fun and a little enjoyable, but at the same time, I expect some controversy, because just because we say it is bad doesn't necessarily mean it is so. And the smartest audience on the internet right now, I'm sure, will hold us accountable if we overstep our bounds.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Please chime in too. If you are so angry at our choices and you're like, no, you are wrong, defend yourself. We want to hear it. I want to hear all sides.
Defend yourself.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. Chin down, guard up, protect yourselves at all times.
Yes.
Let him fly.
Got it.
All right.
I did make myself dizzy, Sammy. I did. And yes, Maria, I made myself. I did. I'm dizzy right now.
You did it for your entertainment.
but it's I did it for everyone. I did it for everyone. God damn beautiful.
You did it for Brian Piccolo.
Yep, I did it for the Gipper.
You did it for him too, yeah. Frank,
Sure.
yep.
Sure. Why?
Fine man of Notre Dame.
So a lot of you people are wondering why I don't have a fun background. Well, as the official computer host of this podcast, I can't figure out how to have a fun background. I know the logic behind it. I know how to do it. It's just, I guess, the company we go through, Ecamm, can't figure out how to do it. And it's very frustrating for me because I like fun backgrounds too. So, feel bad for me, people. Please.
Feel bad for you.
Yeah. Because I just got this boring, all these cool toys behind me. Whatever. Ugh.
Blurry toys.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could get some people to feel bad for you because they don't know quite what's in that comic book collection of yours that I'm sure would make most people jealous, including maybe even one particular person wearing a hat on this panel.
Ah, that's true.
So the question is, do we jump right into this, guys, or is there just something you're dying to share with the world?
I'm about ready to go. I posted it on I posted it to the Palookas, some others.
Okay.
So we're live. Yeah.
Let me adjust something real quick. Thank you, Jared, on that. I appreciate that. All right. And we'll go right to it. By all means, tell a funny joke.
I mean, there's all sorts of funny jokes. I mean,
That's somebody that's really reaching for a joke says that.
I'll tell a funny joke. Should we just dive right into it and talk about these funny movies and some of these funny choices and funny performances?
I got one for you. Which one's worse, the Supergirl movie or the Supergirl TV series?
Movie, by far.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because at least the show has like some plots where like at least some characters that you could kind of have fun with. I remember seeing that movie in the theater as a kid, and I was like, why? It was so depressing and sad, and I didn't want to be there.
Hey, that's completely
Okay.
fair.
Jarrett, Kevin, Darren, we're fixed on that. We are published now on YouTube, so you can pull that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but you know, also too, like we will be bringing up a number of very big comic book fails. But as I look through all of our lists, and I don't want to reveal anything, but I will reveal to you that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: Turtles in Time did not make any of our lists.
I rather
true.
enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, and I didn't love it, but I will tell you, when I saw the Blu-ray available at the Dollar Tree, I bought it. I'm not ashamed.
I mean, we always knew that you were a big fan of the Megan Fox Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But, I mean, you know, hey, it is what it is. I get it.
God, those movies practically killed the franchise. I mean, they really did. Talk about just trash.
Didn't Corey Feldman do a voice in the original?
Yeah,
ones?
yeah, he was Donatello.
Was he Don? Oh, he was Donatello. You're right. You're right.
The coolest
Corey.
one.
Representing.
So, I hear a rumor out there that the master of the graphics here has found graphics for all of our films.
Yeah.
So
let me just real quick, Kevin. I know that you're really good with numbers and anniversaries and stuff. The last Tuesday of this month, something special is going on. The last Tuesday of this month. What would that be?
July 28th.
July 28th.
Oh, I know what it is. It's my mom's birthday. Kevin, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
That's actually what I meant, Jarrett. Definitely, but there's something else too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just in case you wanted to talk about. I'll just throw it out there. It is the 20th anniversary of the original X-Men movie.
That's right. 2000. That's correct.
Yep. Thanks to Louie for that little tidbit there. I was able to stump Kevin.
You got me there. You know, it's
Yeah.
funny. The worst
I'd like
Mission
to thank the
Impossible
Academy.
movie also came out in 2000, 20 years ago.
I'd like to thank the Academy for this award.
Kevin, you're wrong. I think the worst Mission Impossible movie came out 24 years ago. It is actually the only series I've ever seen where the movies get better.
You know what,
Really?
Darren? I can absolutely agree with you, except for that hiccup on the second movie, which was just complete trash, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I still think it's better than part one. I mean, Brian De Palma's first Mission Impossible was irritating to me. I didn't like all the camera work and all the weird style with it, and the script was really convoluted, in my opinion. But hey, I get it. I know John Woo's Mission Impossible 2. I'm not going to stand on that hill and defend that to my death.
You're not going to die on that hill. Hey, real quick. Do you guys remember, for me particularly, it was a very special moment going to see the first X-Men movie in my hometown. Granted, Blade was a great surprise, but not a lot of people knew Blade. Everybody knew the X-Men, you know? Everybody knew the X-Men. And when it came out, I had not felt such electric energy in a theater until that moment when I sat down and was surrounded by the same comic book nerds like me that were just touting. Well, I think Cyclops would beat if he fought Wolverine. He would probably just completely evaporate him with his laser eyes, which is actually heat based, but also concussion based. You know that kind of stuff, and that was okay. You didn't make fun of him because you were like, that's a good thing, you know what I mean? Like, you were in on that, and it was like a special moment, and there was just so much electricity and so much energy and excitement for this movie. And even though it wasn't the perfect movie, it did not disappoint. Unlike pretty much every one of these films on our list. Every one of these films on our list disappointed on multiple goddamn levels. Multiple levels. Multiple levels, Enrique. Multiple levels, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. One of the notes I put in one of my choices, which I will not reveal now, but one of the notes I put was X-Men was an absolutely monumental film because the patience Marvel had to wait for all the CGI technology to be just where it needed to be has paid off massively for them. That's not to knock DC. There are some Superman and Batman films that are completely worthy. There are some TV series that are worthy that came out before 2000. But this was really like excellent CGI perfection at the time, and it really separated itself as a different product from the DC movies you were watching.
Well, on the piggyback on what Darren and Donald were saying, like the whole... Like, the nerds were so... We were always like, I can't wait. They're going to do an X-Men film someday. They're going to do a Daredevil thing someday. They're going to do it. They just don't have the budget or the effects or the know-how yet, but we know it's coming. And, yeah, how exciting it was when they finally were like, yeah, we can do it now. We can show it to you. Because a lot of the films we're going to talk about today and the shows we're going to talk about today, a lot of these were either right before that time, so it was completely hokey, or... it was just a miscast, bad script or whatever. But yeah, we do live in a golden age of superhero films and TV shows. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you know, it is amazing. You know, when we were kids, you always imagined, man, if they ever turn this into a movie and it's done right, how awesome it would be, and also from a business standpoint, how much money it could make. I mean, we jumped back in time like 30 years into the past and said, hey, this is going to be an Avengers movie. It's going to make a ton of money, and Captain America and Iron Man are going to be more popular than like Superman. People wouldn't believe you.
Nope.
No. They think you're crazy. Or put it this way, the guy from Weird Science is going to become super popular in 30 years playing Iron Man. They probably look at you like you were nuts.
The second less known bully from Weird Science is going to become one of the most famous actors and performers. Yeah.
Yeah, the emo guy from Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield before emo was even a thing.
Yeah.
You know, Sammy, Enrique, you didn't do anything, by the way. Don't worry. I just threw out your name because I saw you were here, and that was my way of saying hello. But Sammy says, please tell me that the semi-recent Fantastic Four, I believe that was 4 years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years? Please tell me that movie is on the list. Sammy, it's not. It's not on the list. multiple reasons. I think there's a lot to say about the Fantastic Four franchise in general, not being quite what the fans wanted.
It's almost like kicking a dead horse, right? It's like there's no point. All FF movies have pretty much sucked.
Or had issues.
Yeah,
some issues.
Absolutely. There's at every point in every Fantastic Four movie that's come out, there's been a moment where the fans would go, "Nah, that's not quite what I want with a Fantastic Four film."
Well,
and it's hard.
You knew this, yeah, and you knew this last one was bad because literally, like the night before it premiered, the director was like, "This is not my cut. This is not my cut." Like they screwed me, and I was like, "Oh God, that's not good."
Well,
he distanced himself.
And I don't want to put words in Donald's mouth, but we had talked about this, the two of us. And as I recall, I was in that camp, and Donald, I think, was too. I don't hate it as much as people generally do. It's a letdown, sure. It's not that interesting. It's not that different, honestly, from the first couple of Fantastic Four movies. But I trust me, there are far more superhero films I don't like than that Fantastic Four.
Sammy, I might be dead to you again, huh? Jeez, just for not dissing. I mean, okay, so the first 20 minutes of the newer Fantastic Four movie, Sammy, is really good. It's really good. It's not maybe what you exactly would envision, but the reimagination that takes place in that 20 minutes it's really solid movie. That first 20 minutes, I really enjoyed it, and I was like, this isn't as bad. This isn't nearly bad like other. I was like, I actually really enjoy this. What's wrong with people? Why are they? And then the 20-minute mark hit, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why. So
yeah, it was very thrown together.
Right. So I guess let's just dive in then.
Yeah.
Do two at a time. Do it 2 at a time per person, you know?
2 at a time. Good Lord.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up one, and then I'll throw it to whoever. Let me just pull up the list here on what we have. Oh, man. We've got some good ones. I'm going to go with I believe it was Jarrett that chose this one, and this was a last-minute change for you, if I'm correct, Jarrett.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going with.
We are going with the Dolph Lundgren movie that everybody loves to hate and hates to love.
Yeah, and you know what? That last part is very true. Hates to love. I would actually say it's bittersweet because if you grew up in the 80s action times, you loved Dolph Lundgren because he was Drago, and then he was a Universal Soldier, and people might know that he was Red Scorpion, that movie that came out. But I remember seeing that it was the first time where you saw because everything when we were younger was it got released in the theaters. That was it. It was in the theaters. That's how movies were. Bad or good, it got released in the theaters.
Right.
I remember just seeing a VHS one day of The Punisher, and I went, I don't remember them making a Punisher movie, and I think I would know that. I collect comic books. I love The Punisher. And I said, I got to see this. So we rented it from our local warehouse, probably, and brought it home. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. One of the things that bugged the hell out of me was that movie would have been 10 times better if they just had him wear a skull
T-shirt or something.
T-shirt, vest, something that said, I'm the Punisher, instead of the only thing that said I'm the Punisher is he badly dyed his hair jet black like a bad Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
So the movie in itself is actually, I think it's a Canon film too. Did Canon do it? I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, they were. I think the problem with essentially the 80s was a lot about action heroes and not about comic books. And I think they were afraid to market this as a comic book. They wanted to market it as an action film that happened to be a comic book character. So they didn't want to get too hokey, and I think that's why the skull went out the door for the most part, which is a shame.
Which would have sold it. I mean, you had Cobra. Come on. That guy was all about being Cobra.
But the Punisher...
I still, oh God, yeah, ouch. I still quote from The Punisher every now and then because we would joke because he would say, there's a scene, for God knows why they wrote this in, but apparently the Punisher, when he's hiding out, he hides out like the Ninja Turtles in the sewers of New York. And for some reason, he also prays to a burning furnace in the nude. And quotes monologues of why he's the Punisher. And I'll do a quick impression real quick. And he's like, why, God? Why must the innocent be punished and not the guilty? While he's naked, and you just see like the zoom in of a naked ass Dolph Lundgren. But I will say the action in it was awesome. Like the action was great. So all you had to do to make that movie like a standalone, like it would have actually, I think, had more of a cult following, was just put the skull on him. That's it. Yeah. I would have killed for that.
Guys, we gotta
don't forget, Louis Gossett Jr. in there too.
Sure.
That's right.
We got a lot of quick questions, and we got a few things here. Evan says, haha, spot on. So I think he was referring to something we said earlier. I'm not quite sure at this point. It's been a bit. Sorry, Evan. Chris Duquet's on. He says, hello, gentlemen. So hello, Chris. Good to see you there.
Chris.
Mr. Duquet.
Let's see. Let's close that one out. Let's see. Enrique says, how about the shitty, never officially released Fantastic Four movie? Surprisingly, didn't make our list either, and I think there's a reason for that we'll go over in a minute. Sammy's like, what? With the naked furnace thing. She wasn't quite sure what to think of that, and I completely understand. Maria says, ha ha ha, that's a great Dolph Lundgren impersonation, Jarrett, so congratulations.
Well, you know what I say? If he dies, he dies.
And as a person who fancies himself a PhD in action films, The Punisher is Dolph Lundgren, in my view, second best performance behind his performance as Gunner in The Expendables.
Yes. Real quick, Evan says I was spot on regarding the 20 minutes of Fantastic Four. Thank you, Evan. I'm glad we can agree on that for sure.
You're not dead to him yet.
Chris Duquet says, what year did the old school Flash movie come out? Chris, are you referring to the pilot episode of I believe it was 1994?
It's about the TV show?
CBS television series.
No, it was actually 30 years ago. It was 1990. 30 years ago.
90, okay.
And they did, I think 4 episodes or 6?
Oh, they did a bunch.
They got a full season.
Yeah.
I wish they got 1 or 2 seasons. I borrowed them
one
from
season.
Donald.
Yeah, one season.
One season.
Okay,
One full season, and that was it. The reason being, it was too expensive. It was the most expensive TV series ever made up to that point.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
And if you've watched the pilot, it's great. John Wesley Shipp just nails it. Tim Thomerson is great in the pilot, as I believe it was his brother at the time. Just every actor in that film was on fire. It was just
Mark Hamill playing the trickster and then revamping it later.
Yeah, a great idea. Just genius casting, genius. Really good effects too for its time. Really good effects.
And they went with costumes. They weren't afraid of costumes.
No, and this was 1990, not too far along after the Punisher, right? Punisher came out in the 80s, so yeah, it would have been just after.
89. It came out in 89.
Yeah, so it would have been just after, and they were willing to push it, and it did well.
We should start a petition to have them digitally put on a skull on the old Punisher film.
That's a great idea. Somebody can do that. Somebody can go in and do that.
I know.
Hey, man, I'm down with the Yakuza fighting scenes. What do you think, guys? The next one?
Real quick, we've got a couple more comments.
Okay.
Chris says he remembers it being a movie. Chris, it was kind of. They marketed it also separately as a movie that you could rent. So they were very smart about that because they spent a lot of money. They had to make their money back. We got a comment from TJ Anderson. TJ says, thoughts on Punisher Warzone?
I don't like it.
Actually, I kind of did like it.
Too gory for me, not enough intrigue, my opinion.
TJ, I think that it is the worst of all of them. I think that they went too comic booky, and that's hard for me to say, but I think blowing up that guy that was doing a backflip mid-building jump with a bazooka was just ridiculous. Like, it was so over the top. I would have to go back and watch it. I only watched it once in the theater, and I was like, this is terrible. Why am I sitting through this?
That Jigsaw looked really gnarly, though, man.
And he phoned it in. He was too hammy. He was pulling out his best Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face impersonation that I've seen in quite some time.
Oh, Ray Stevenson, yeah.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson's Punisher. He was great. The guy playing Jigsaw. The dude from The Wire. I can never remember his name.
Idris Elba?
No, the lead.
No.
Top. What is his name? British dude, I believe. I believe he's a Brit. But anyway, not a big fan, but actually, it is probably my least favorite. If you want to ask what my most favorite Punisher of all time on the silver screen, actually never made it to the silver screen, and it's not the Dolph Lundgren one either. It is I believe it was called, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, Spare Change?
Oh yeah.
The Thomas Jane short that he put up.
He self-funded to get the money to do it. And Arm Fall Off Boy, thank you. He says it's Dominic Cooper. So yes, Dominic Cooper phoned that shit in. He hammed that up, and it was just the wrong way to do it. It didn't work. But yeah, that Thomas Jane one was the best, and it was like a 20-minute short, and it was fantastic. So guys, if you haven't seen it, those of you listening in podcast land and here on YouTube Live, definitely check out the Thomas Jane short. I believe it's on YouTube for free, that you can see it, and I think it's called Loose Change or Spare Change, something like that.
Directed by a really good director, Phil Lejeune.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Arm Fall Off Boy, I think you're wrong on the last name. Sammy, I think you're right. I think it's Dominic West.
Dominic West.
Yeah.
Dominic West.
Oh, yeah, Dominic West. Yeah, he was in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He played Tom Sawyer.
Wait. No? Did he really? I thought that was Chad Michael McMurray or something like that.
Oh, no. No, it was Dominic West. In fact...
And we can't be thinking the same guy. It's got to be somebody else. Let me look him up.
You got the DVD?
In front of me here.
DVD.
We've got Shane West. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is Dominic West, but yeah, different guy.
I'm pretty sure it's Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah, it's an older man, Philip Baker Hall. He was in Magnolia.
No, that's actually you're thinking. Philip Seymour Hoffman played the Jigsaw character.
He played Jigsaw.
And also, he would actually made a good Kingpin, come to think of it.
That's true, he would have.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, I'm sorry. Let me bring up the next one here real quick, guys. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Kevin, this one's for you. It's a smaller picture, so we don't have to move over or anything. This one is... directed by a gentleman that was in the comic book industry for a while, Mr. Goyer, David S. Goyer.
Yes.
Darren, take it, or Kevin, take it from there.
Yes, very disappointing in this movie. Blade Trinity. The first two Blade movies I thought were pretty cool. One was directed by the guy who ended Sean Connery's career. The second one's the second one's directed by Mr. Del Toro, who's always great with the visuals. And this one by Mr. Goyer, I have no idea what he was smoking or what they were smoking. It was like 3 different movies in one. It didn't make any sense. First, you bring back Whistler in the second movie, which is pretty cool, right? Made sense. And this one,
right?
Yeah, Chris Christopherson, great classical actor like him. Then you just kill him off just like that again, and unceremoniously, in my opinion. Then all of a sudden you find out he has a daughter named Abigail Whistler. I'm like, okay, all right. Played by the lovely Jessica Biel. And then you have Ryan Reynolds playing Hannibal King. So I think this was actually his first comic book movie, interestingly enough.
They were going to spin off those characters, right?
Yeah, Night Stalkers. Yeah, they're going to have a spin-off movie. And I know that was the point. They're trying to make it look cool. But to me, the 3 of them just didn't really work, in my opinion. And also, Ryan Reynolds' character was very annoying, Hannibal King. It was just all these stupid, lame jokes. All these, it's just like, come on, man. And they have Parker.
Ryan Reynolds until Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically pre-Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And then you have Parker Posey, who has the thing with being in bad third movies of a trilogy. She was in Scream 3 a few years before this, interestingly enough. And her character, Danica Talos, I found annoying. I wasn't, impressed. And then, of course, the worst villain of all, supposed to be the main antagonist, Drake. Before Drake, that we know. This emo-looking version of, or goth wannabe version of Dracula was terrible. Played by Dominic Purcell. Nothing against him, of course. It's just the material they gave him was ridiculous. You guys remember that scene where he went into that goth shop where they were selling like Halloween stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So it must remember. They're trying to make him look all menacing and all scary, and it's just like it was a total joke. A total joke.
Yeah, you look like that. He just robbed a Hot Topic.
Yeah.
And ran in there. And it was like, I want to buy all the Teen Beat magazines you have, and they're like, we don't have those.
That's where the actor did his research.
Yeah,
the actor did his research. He just hung out at Hot Topics all day.
To be fair, though, and Kevin, you hit the nail on the head. Dominic Purcell, he's a great actor. He's doing phenomenal work over on Legends of Tomorrow as Heatwave. He's just great. Just his interpretation of that character made me fall in love with that character. Mm-hmm. And I actually went out and bought the first appearance of that character because I loved him so much.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Ryan Reynolds in this, I actually like Ryan Reynolds a lot in this movie. It's just the wrong movie. Like, every joke he's saying belongs in another movie. That's my only issue with it.
That was terrible.
Jessica Biel, my opinion, the more she worked, the more she kind of exposed herself as being relatively one-dimensional. That whole scene, the whole sequence where she's like, I like to put my iPod on when I kill vampires, that's just blatant, irritating, like, market placement right there. On top of the fact that it's just such forced bad writing from a man like David Goyer, who I actually respect quite a bit as a writer. It was there was just some very strange things going on in that movie. And of course, our co-worker, and I'd venture to say a friend of the show, Mark Berry, did a pretty decent job there. It was nice to see him in this film, but no, I mean, and Triple H was terrible in this. I'm sorry. Like, he just was way out of place. And, I don't know. I think, Kevin, this is a good choice.
Yeah, it is sad. It was a sad way to end the trilogy, and plus the final fight scene between Blade and quote-unquote Drake, it was a joke.
I'm sorry.
His previous two opponents were much better. Much better.
Jessica Biel can do no wrong in my eyes, so I don't have any comments on that.
Justin Timberlake would agree. Yeah,
hey, man, I went to the premiere screening of Powder Blue, Donald. I know what you mean.
Fair enough. All right. I'm going to move to the next one. This is a fun one. Darren, you're going to enjoy this one. This one came out with a thud and involved I guess you could say it was a foul ball, really, if you're talking sports. But we're talking about Howard the Duck, right?
All right, here we go. I
had a cool theme song.
I took some copious notes here. Oh, shoot. Okay, hey guys, sorry, I went off screen there for a second. All right, to quote Kevin, I took some copious notes here. Okay, so I watched this as a kid. We actually taped this on VHS off of HBO with our BASF VHS tapes, okay? Okay, so, all right, so in the comic book, I think it's important to know, this is one of the times that the comic book material really matters.
Darren, real quick, not to interrupt, but we have an announcement to make. We have it looks like a first-time comment here from one Bonnie Tuttle.
Oh.
And she says, one of my favorites with an exclamation, so I think she's talking about Howard the Duck.
Well, okay, there's definitely an enjoyment to Howard the Duck.
I love it too, Bonnie.
It's still bad. In my view, just my opinion. But so in the comic book, like, this is where this is important. The comic book, he's typically like very sarcastic and he's often very rude. In this movie, he's actually really nice almost the entire movie, which really, if you're a fan of this comic, and granted it's a very cult comic to begin with, this kind of stuff is a little off-putting, to the comic reader. This is a character. What's kind of interesting is the actual Howard the Duck comic book character has really interesting, commentary on Earth and America. Some of it's right on, some of it's just strange and kind of bizarre. But as far as the movie goes, he just thinks of humans as weird, gross. He thinks it's scary that we eat ducks. And to me, it's really weird that he has this big crush on Leah Thompson. It's just the whole interspecies thing is odd to me. And I just prefer the comic books. Also, the movie is really heavily sci-fi. I don't feel like the comic book is heavily sci-fi. I think that's an element to it, which is kind of off-putting. And Lucas, of course, George Lucas, is a visual mastermind. We all know this. It doesn't serve Howard the Duck here well, in my view. And it's supposed to be a family film, but has some really weird kind of adult references, including a duck-sized condom, a scene at the very beginning of the film where he's reading a magazine called Play Duck. But,
yes! I love that.
Duck breasts too. Isn't there a woman in the bath and you see duck breasts?
Yes, and you also see the flash dance, poster with the duck. But because I don't want to be a complete hater on this movie, let's give some props to a very creepy Jeffrey Jones and a rather out of place, cool performance by Tim Robbins. But as far as the comic book versus the movie, this is just a big fail for me. Because I just prefer the comic book character, and I think they could have done better with it.
Well, there was a great line where he does say, "I'm a master of quack foo."
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Guys, I love this movie so much. You can't even imagine how much. I watched this movie with my mother quite a few times. Probably my dad walked through the room and went, "Oh, Jesus Christ." But I watched it with my mom, and it's just a good time. There's a few awkward moments, sure. But Jeffrey Jones as the villain, he plays it perfectly as this possessed by some type of interdimensional demon creature taking control so he can bring his horde through into our world to take over. It's such a cool idea. And how this little tiny duck that got pulled in, into all of this, that was living his life in his duck world, someplace else, becomes this big part of this, how to help save our Earth, how to help save our world. And I think it's Téa Leoni, right? Was it Téa Leoni or
Leah Thompson?
Leah Thompson, that's right, thank you. Leah Thompson is so good in this, and the sexual chemistry that the two of them have, it's just fire, guys. It's just fire. You just know eventually that this duck is gonna fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's bound to happen. It's gonna happen. And I was always excited for it. Even as a kid, I was like, "Oh man, Howard's gonna get this girl." I didn't know what that meant at the time. Now as an adult, I'm like, "Oh shit, they probably."
And with a click of your mouse, you can now see that music video. Howard the Duck. Yeah, I know you were rocking out to that, Donald. I get it.
Yes.
But I just this is a movie that has some interesting imagery, but just overall, I'm just not a big fan. Jeffrey Jones, of course, and his really creepy voice. I mean, that should have never worked, but props to him, he made it work. But still, I'm giving this a big dud.
Yep. Chris Turner says, "Hey guys, I'm here. You can start the show now." Well, I'm glad you heard about the duck.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So, congratulations.
I'm glad there's plenty of petty narcissism still in the world.
Oh, damn. Wow.
Oh, wait, who wins in a fight? Scrooge McDuck or Howard the Duck?
Howard, only because he's more young and virile.
You don't think Scrooge Scrooge got some spunk in him?
Why would you pick Scrooge of all people? Why wouldn't you go Daffy?
You know what? That's a better choice. You know what? You go an old school crazy psycho Daffy Duck versus Howard Duck. I like that. Good point.
Yeah. That changes the narrative right there.
I'm going to say Scrooge McDuck because he's rich, and if I end up being right, I might get money.
Or you won't get kicked out of the will.
Good thought. Okay, gonna move on here. I'm gonna pull up one here. I'm going to go with a very unknown 1996 made-for-television movie by Fox that did not do well enough to create a interest in a television series. I'm going to go with Generation X.
Wow.
Now, I was a huge fan of the Fox original movies when they would come out. Things like Tornado, which was their version of Twister, but had Bruce Campbell and Ernie Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the good choices, if you ask me. Even better choices.
Did they also do the David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury?
Yes, they did the David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury as well, with hope of generating a television series. It didn't happen. Same thing happened with the Doctor Who attempt on a reboot for the Americanized version that only ended in just the movie happening and nothing more. So basically, it is very interesting that this actually happened. We were in a hype 90s big hype phase of holy shit, this is happening. Everything in comic books is amazing. Throw millions of dollars at it. And Fox was like Mutant Mania, basically, and they were like on this hype train. They were like, let's do this. Let's get this, going. So they created Generation X. What they didn't do was put a budget behind it. Now, for about $1.95 in some tinfoil, they were able to recreate the comic book version of this and make it come to life, which, props to them. They made it look just like $1.95 in some tinfoil. The only well-known name in this is Matt Frewer, and for those that don't follow Matt Frewer or know Max Headroom, would not know who the hell Matt Frewer is. Now,
just like a made-up bad guy, yeah.
Right, some Orphan Black fans might know, but like Matt Frewer back then, he wasn't that relatively known, but known enough that you were like, oh, I know that guy. He played the demonic Dr. Russell Tresh, who was a scientist that worked with Emma Frost, the White Queen, who's also in this, and running the Gen X school. Basically, his motivation behind it is they worked together and she got him fired. So he was upset, and now he wants to just show her and the world.
Job security is important.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But also knowing your place, and if a woman's right, you don't necessarily have to teach her a lesson. So the basic premise of the show is kind of an introduction to the characters and having to stop him. And we have Banshee in there as well. And Banshee and the White Queen, they both run the basically kind of their like Xavier Institute for young people. Jubilee's in there, which is exciting because she does the fireworks with her hands, which is cool. And we have Skin and a few other people. Skin can control his skin, and he looks all like.
But he was lame because he couldn't be like Mr. Fantastic and go like crazy stretch.
No.
He could just kind of stretch it.
Yeah, he was like a limp Mr. Fantastic.
It sounds like they really stretched this $1.95 budget.
They did, yeah. So it's just bad all the way around, and I don't know. I have a copy of it on VHS somewhere here in my apartment, but I'll never be able to see it since my VHS player's broke. But I could probably watch it on YouTube. For those that want to know any more about it, I just posted the link to the trailer for it on YouTube. So you can click on that link and it'll take you right to it. So enjoy.
And it's so bad, it's bad. Like, it's just bad.
Let's play catch up here with the chats because it's been rolling pretty good. Let's see. TJ Anderson says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Petty narcissism. Yes, indeed. Petty narcissism, yes. Sammy says, really don't want to think about the duck getting it on. Chris says, even just Howard running is good comedic entertainment. And Chris, you are 100% correct. Watching him run was a hell of fun. TJ Anderson says, Donald Duck has children, so he has canonically fucked. So, TJ, you're right. Chris, Darkwing Duck, love Darkwing Duck. Can't get enough.
Well, Donald has nephews. He doesn't have kids. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
True, but he doesn't have kids, though, right? I mean,
No,
we know for a fact.
I mean, our resident Disney expert's in the next room, but I guarantee you she's going to say they're nephews.
Okay, so
No, they are
Just
they are his nephews.
he just
Always
has
call him Uncle
nephews.
Donald. Always
Glad
call
we
him
got
Uncle
that
Donald.
ironed out.
Chris says, "Holy shit, flashback! I would have never thought of that show again if you hadn't brought it up. I'm going to rewatch it. I don't remember much detail, but I do remember liking it. Good luck, Chris."
A lot of the Universal backlot in that.
Chris Duque says, "Donald, do you have the movie Meteor Man in your list of old school superhero movies? Not ones we hate. Ironically, I don't think that one needed to get the hate because they were trying something different. They didn't have quite the budget that we would have liked, but you know what? He made it work, and I'm okay with it. It's just a low-budget superhero film, which we might cover in a low-budget superhero film podcast if we do that
Much
down
like
the line."
Blank Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember Blank Man.
Yeah, you're thinking Goofy, TJ. Definitely Goofy. He has a son.
Mac.
Yep. Meteor Man was fun. At the time, it was great to see Bill Cosby in there. Now that we all know what we know, it was probably quite horrific.
Wait.
on
Hold
set.
on. Isn't Meteor Man, isn't that Gregory Hines?
No,
Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Leonard Part 6, of course, is the Bill Cosby classic.
Or
Yes.
Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad, yes. Holy crap, I loved Ghost Dad. Ghost Dad was like the best one out of the bunch that he did. Anyway.
And that's really, really not good.
Yep. All right, I'm going to bring up another one here. We'll get rolling on that. Okay, Jared, I believe this is you. This is one Brandon Ralph, a.k.a. the Atom, is playing. Before he played the Atom, and played it quite well, I might add, he played another character, and he also played this character, I feel, quite well. But we'll let you take it from here.
Well, I have to preface this with saying, and I hate people that do this. I hate them. So I guess I have a little self-hatred right now. I've never seen the film, but I have a great story. I have a great story as to why I would never see the film, because the magic was ruined for me. Okay. So in my younger years, in my 20s, I would roll around Hollywood a lot and go to different bars. And I was at the Stella Adler Acting Academy, and right across the street was the what was it called? The bowling alley.
Pins, I believe.
What is it?
Pins?
No, it's
Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike.
And they had a bar there. It was like a hip Hollywood bowling alley.
Uh-huh.
And I would go there many a night, sloppy drunk, and go up to the bar and get drinks. And the bartender there was this big, tall, dark, handsome guy who looked like the kind of guy who was a bartender by night and an actor by day. And about a year later, I don't see him at the bar anymore. And then I see him on billboards for Superman. And I was like, that's my bartender. That guy serves me drinks. He can't be Superman. And it just, and then, with time passing, Kevin Spacey, Bryan Singer, I don't know. I just wonder how he got the role. I feel bad for him. I actually like Brendan Routh because I like what he did as the Atom in Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
I think he makes a great Atom. And I've also seen him with his kid and his wife, so he seemed like a nice guy at the Griffith Park. We had our kids there and stuff. But for me, it was just it was cool on one end, because now I can say I've had Ray Palmer and Clark Kent, Superman, serve me vodka Cokes. So I can say that I've been served by a dual superhero.
Yeah.
But so I can't say anything bad about the film. I just could not get behind him being Superman, even though he looks perfect. Like, he looks like he was meant to be Superman.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I'm going to bounce this to you. So Kevin and I, actually, we were hanging out at our former job talking to Kevin Smith about this movie. Mm-hmm. And Kevin brought up some points that I think were really fair points. One of which is he really badly wanted Superman just to hit somebody. Mm-hmm. And I think the film is it just never knows what it wants to be. I'm going to disagree slightly with you, Jared. I think this movie is more watchable than people give it credit for. Cal Penn as a silent character was just terrible. But, it's more watchable than one would think. But after you start adding up everything in it, it's really bothersome to sit through. And Kevin, I know.
How is Spacey as Luthor? Because I mean, it seems like a perfect casting, but it also seems like the poor man's Gene Hackman, who did a great Luthor.
I think in many ways, like Spacey as Luthor there was just no new ground here that I was impressed with. He just was there, and I know Kevin. We when we talked to Kevin Smith about this, I mean he was kind of in that thing, and I really agreed with him when he said like this movie's just relatively inert. There's just nothing. I don't know what it wants to be.
Right.
Nobody's going to play a better Lex Luthor, by the way, than Clancy Brown. So, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Just
Yeah,
not
Kurgan.
Donald, Gene Hackman, I think, would slap you in the face for that.
I don't care. I'll slap that old man right goddamn back.
I was going to say, it's going to take him like a half hour to stand up, so no
Right.
worries.
Next Marine, buddy. I don't know.
I'll wheel him right out into the street.
I think Gene was the perfect Luthor for that specific version of Superman.
You know what? I have trouble watching Superman now as an adult because of him and his portrayal of Lex Luthor.
Okay.
I can't stand him as Lex Luthor. It drives me up the wall. I think it's like in Ned Beatty being his like little underling. I just can't take it. It's like and look, now we have Laurel and Hardy and or Abbott and Costello, and they're the main villains, and it's like, no, stop.
Right, but it was a G-rated family film, so I can understand the choice.
Wow.
It was uncomfortable
PG.
where Hackman is like, squeal, boy, to Ned Beatty, right?
Yeah, if that would have happened, that would have been better.
Dueling banjos.
Tied to a tree? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we're going to go one more. We're going to double down on you, Jarrett. We're going to go with the next one here real quick. We are going to go with, in fact, I think you played this character on our real Rumble Spoon Productions YouTube channel. If you check it out, you'll see it. It's called Iron Fist, Iron Fisted. You can always check out. I'll actually search for the link while Jarrett tells you a little bit about what's the guy that plays Iron Fist. What's his real name?
I believe it's Danny Rand.
Yes.
Okay, where to start? Okay, here's the thing. When Netflix announced that they were going to do Marvel, they had Marvel properties and they were going to do it, they announced everything. They said, we're going to do Daredevil, we're going to do Luke Cage, we're going to do Jessica Jones, or they might have called it Alias at the time, and we're going to do Iron Fist. And then they even eventually said, this is the order we're going to do it in. We got Daredevil first, blah, 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 but Iron Fist was going to be last. So plenty of time. I always, from the get-go, was like, God, I wonder how they're going to do Iron Fist. Because I've always liked him in the comic books, but I've always liked him with Luke Cage. So I've always liked the Power Man and Iron Fist combo. So Daredevil comes out, and I think it was fantastic. And the fight choreography was fantastic. I mean, it had that one long, unedited, uncut hallway scene where he's beating everybody up. So I'm just like, man, Iron Fist is going to be fine. Because they've got forever to work on that. When, Iron Fist is all going to be martial arts. It's just going to be amazing. How wrong we were. Or they were. So, Iron Fist is going to finally come out. I'm like, who's going to play him? And the thing that was kind of scary is they had so much, because I think there was already 2 seasons of Daredevil had come out. 1 season of Jessica Jones and 1 season of Luke Cage before Iron Fist season 1 even came out. So they had plenty of time. Plenty of time. And all those other shows, their first seasons, to me, were great, if not, at least really good, So, then Iron Fist comes out. And I'm like, who are they going to cast? And finally, last minute, they mentioned that they're casting that guy who was all I knew him was a small part in
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. And I go, okay, fine. He looks the part. I don't know anything about him, and I can't judge him off one role, and everybody kind of seemed the same in Game of Thrones, whatever. So then I get the cool thing about the Netflix is when they dropped them, they dropped all of them. So you're like, here we go. That guy could not pretend to be a martial artist if Bruce Lee had trained him for 30 years.
Nope.
It was I could not believe anything he was doing, because all he would do with these katas and they were so phony. And I was like, how do you have all of this time? That guy should have been cast as soon as Daredevil season 1 ended and they saw how good it did. Cast that guy.
And that was the problem.
And get him training. Yeah. So what I read about it, I was like, yeah, how is this so atrocious? The guy apparently got hired very late in, had 2 weeks of intense training, which is just not enough.
No.
And was literally shooting scenes, and then when they'd go cut and they'd shoot somebody else, he would go and train. And it was just too little too late. And also, no offense, you know, he really sucked at that role. He might be a great actor in other performances, but God, he sucked. And everybody around him was like angry yuppies, like getting mad at him and just saying like, Okudo and Danny Rand. And they said Danny Rand 1,000 times.
If you did a drinking thing where every time they said Danny Rand, you'd be fucking dead.
Yeah.
You'd be dead.
Now, Jared.
Yeah.
Now, Jared, Colleen, the girl who played Colleen Wing, Jessica Henwick, she's actually a legitimate martial artist. So I actually prefer her in action scenes than Danny Rand because she's actually.
Notice they actually did start showcasing her more.
Yeah, in season 2 especially.
Yeah,
that's true.
I just posted the Iron Fist short that we did, Jarrett, Kevin, and I worked on. Just posted that in the link in the chat, so you guys can check that out at your leisure. It's a little over a minute long. I know it's the trailer for what was to come.
And speaking of petitions, guys, you know, Netflix's deals are going to end at the end of this year and the beginning of early 2021 too. And Iron Fist is going to be up. So I'm just saying, you know, write in for your casting after you watch the video first, because you'll be convinced I'm the right choice.
I agree. I think so too. I think your kung fu skills.
15 pounds though. You need 50 pounds of muscle.
Your kung fu skills, though, I think are through the roof, comparatively speaking. I don't see how anybody could disagree. So definitely check that out.
50 pounds of inflated beer gut in that. I think we'll see it.
We've got them catching up. Arm Fall Off Boy says Gene Hackman or Jesse Eisenberg. Arm Fall Off Boy, like I said in the chat here, Gene Hackman easily. As much as I disliked him in it, Jesse Eisenberg didn't even come to mind because he's so terrible. No.
Eisenberg had to know somebody to get that role.
Right. Season 2 was better, is what Sammy says. Yeah, Season 2 got better, but, you know, it's like hard to polish a turd. It's hard to polish a turd. You're just going to get shit all over yourself. Chris Duquet thinks that, him and Maria are having a talk.
Yeah, I noticed.
About the Superman stuff. Okay. Well, we're gonna just skip right on past that. We'll let them deal with it. Yeah, Season 1 was a lot of rough. Chris Duque says, I've only seen Season 1. It wasn't terrible. Cool fight choreography for a superhero show. It's no Ip Man choreography, but not terrible. It was terrible, kind of. Sorry.
Compare it to Daredevil Season 1. There was no comparison.
Yeah, he was better in the Defenders, though, right? We can all agree. Sammy says that. I agree, too. I think he was better. But that's because we got less of him, I think. That's why. He was sharing the screen, and we didn't have to see as much of his bullshit as we did prior in his own series, which even, it's so bad. Like, they should just take it down quietly and just pretend it never existed. That's fine. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, going to move on. Since we doubled down on Jarrett, we're going to move over to, let's see here. Darren, let's go with this one. We're going to talk about throwing motorcycles and clear shields. We are talking about the none other than the Captain America movie, made-for-television movie that came out in the 70s, if I recall.
Yes, there were 2 of these, and way back, a friend of ours, Matthew Hilton, who I'll give a shout out to, was able to obtain copies of this thing. I didn't put a lot of notes for this, and that's very specific. It is literally the epitome of bad. I think at the time that it came out in the 70s, it was probably unwatchable then. There was just nothing cool about it. It was very bizarre. It's really a point. It's just bad filmmaking all around. I think it's easy to enjoy if you're looking for a laugh. The soundtrack is legendary. There's probably
helmet.
What's that?
What's that helmet?
Obviously the helmet, but the soundtrack. It sounds like something out of a late '60s Andy Warhol film. There's just something not right there. It also really, as I alluded to earlier, and since we're getting a newer audience here, I'm going to reiterate this point, makes the point very clear that Marvel made the right choice to wait until CGI got caught up before it started blitzing all the movie screens with their products. of course, I'm of the opinion that, when it started with X-Men, when you're talking about Marvel, of course, Blade was a very good exercise in CGI, but they didn't have the same budget. And like I said, one more time, the soundtrack alone makes this movie really laughable. And I really don't even want to continue talking about it because it's just all kinds of bad. I mean, if you want to, as the audience, if there's one thing you can take to the bank, I tell you tonight, this is bad. It's really bad. It might be the most terrible thing you'll ever see in the superhero world.
I couldn't believe he literally, it's so stupid. It's ridiculous. He picks up the motorcycle and he throws it up onto the road that's above him. And the motorcycle just goes like this. It's just completely straight, and then lands. It's oh no, there wasn't cables attached to that at all. And then he just jumps up, like that 70s jump that we all know and love. He does that jump up, and it's just choo 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 choo, and then he gets up there, and then you're like, why am I sober? But yeah, and the shield's attached to the front. If those of you that can see, the shield is attached to the front of the bike there, but he can take it off and then fling it. But it's clear on the round circles in many places. It just looks like the cheapest goddamn shield that money could buy. They must have been at the dollar store next door, and they were, oh shit, we forgot a shield, and they found something and made that, and they were like, yeah, that works, whatever. I just can't believe that there was a thought in advance, because no matter what period of time we're in, you always have the capability to, unless it's the Stone Age, you have the capability to make a metal shield, or at least make one look cool out of tin or something. But you make it a clear plastic like that? Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah, and I can say, with probably getting no bite back from any of you guys, I can clearly say Joe Johnston, the director of Captain America, took no inspiration from this movie.
No, you're definitely correct there. I don't think he took any inspiration from this movie.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah, so that one's a dud. Let's not even give that one any more time. Let's move on. Let's see what we got here. Alrighty. I am going to go with... Ooh, here's a good one. This one's an interesting one. Kevin, I'm going to have you take this one. This one is another Superman tale, but this one actually is more fascinating in a lot of different ways. This was a canon film.
Yes.
Kevin, I've got the picture up of him fighting on the moon with the titular supervillain. Go ahead and take it away. I just can't.
This movie, unfortunately, set Superman back decades. I'm not kidding. Decades. The Cannon crew got a hold of this from the Salkind brothers, and they destroyed the franchise with this. I don't know what crack was being smoked, what meth was being smoked, what heroin was being injected when they thought about this plot. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Well, I don't think that's what matters. Is what you just said is there was probably crack being ingested, heroin being, all of it. Yeah, that's why it happened.
I mean, the concept alone of Nuclear Man and the way he looks, I'm like, what the hell is this? And he had these press-on nails that he used as weapons that shot out orange flame and orange, crackling lightning or whatever it was.
And doesn't he scratch him at one point?
Yeah, there's a part where Superman, at first he takes the Statue of Liberty, he's gonna dump it on, Manhattan, and Superman, takes it back and he perfectly placed it back on the pedestal, and that's when he got scratched on his neck. Then the part that really made me laugh was they're fighting on the moon. And the flag it's moving, so apparently there's wind in space.
Yeah.
And then, Nuclear Man, beats him down into the ground. He's stuck underneath the ground. He comes out. Here's the best part. He goes and captures Meryl Hemingway's character and flies her out into space. Now, she should have been dead halfway up there, but she's somehow still alive out in the vacuum of space. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
So Superman has to defeat Nuclear Man by causing an eclipse. He pushes the moon in front of the sun, so basically depowers Nuclear Man. And then, of course, that's all she wrote. He takes him and dumps him into a nuclear power plant, and then that's it. It's over. And then he gives a nice, wonderful speech, to all of us wonderful Earthlings. Although there's one part I did like. I did like the part when he got all the nuclear missiles and he put them like in some gigantic net and threw it into the sun. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Which is how he was like born, though, right? Like, didn't they use that to birth Nuclear Man?
Yeah,
right. Because he had that's right. Lex Luthor stole a strand of Superman's hair. I forgot about that. That's right.
So, Kevin, if I may, Kevin, I want to add a couple things here. So, if there's anything that Donald would hate more than Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor in this movie, it would be double the Gene Hackman, who was also doing the voice of Nuclear Man.
That is true.
Now,
that is true. Oh, that's right. He was growling all the time.
Now, from what I gather also, too, from what I gather as well, I did my research on this. There has been some conflicting conclusions that have come here. Nuclear Man is actually not a real Superman villain from the comic books, from what I had read.
Oh, correct. Although they did create him later as a character. I believe he appeared in one comic that I know of, and he did make an appearance in it as an in-canon character for Superman, and I think they did it to tie in to the movie. It didn't go over well at all. He disappeared. I don't think they did anything with his fingernails in the comic book being like nuclear or being able to hurt Superman or anything like that, although I could be wrong. I've never read it. I am curious about it, so that probably will be something I pick up at some point in time just to read.
And two more things. First and foremost, the director, Sidney J. Furie, if you check out his resume for directing, I don't think it goes past this movie.
Actually,
also,
it does,
too,
believe it or not, unfortunately. It does.
Yeah, also, too, finally, and this is something I get a kick out of, if Donald really doesn't like Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor or Nuclear Man, he's definitely not going to like his nephew, played by John Cryer, who, I kid you not, is a big fan of 2.5 Men, has more hair in 1987 than he does in 2003. Mm-hmm. Or less hair, excuse me.
Yeah,
less hair in 1987
speaking
than
of which,
2003.
John Cryer also played Lex Luthor in the Supergirl television series that's just out now. So
that's right. That's
interestingly enough, it made it full circle. I don't know about his how well he did. I don't know how well he played the character. I'd have to check it out to see. I have no idea. But Kevin Joseph just popped on. He said, "Good evening, gentlemen." So, good evening.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Good evening.
From the East Coast. Well, he's coming 11:30 something tonight.
And finally, with the Nuclear Man villain, one of the biggest complaints that all Superman fans have in the film series is the lack of diversity in villains. It's Luthor or bust almost all the time, and to squeeze in a villain that doesn't even exist, as opposed to a Brainiac or a Bizarro, I know had to drive people nuts.
Yeah,
sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty awful. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one here really quick. Oh, Superman Lois show? Oh, yeah, that's right. Chris Turner just commented on that. He said the Superman Lois show. That's coming, yeah. I was a big fan of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, regardless of how corny it could get. Particularly the first season I felt was the best season. They were just on fire in that season. I loved it. The way they portrayed Ma and Pa Kent was amazing, guys. So definitely check that out. Season 1, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, if you get a chance. Now, Darren, I'm going to throw one in here. This one is, I believe it's a sequel of the first one. And in the first one, the gentleman that played the lead didn't walk away from this movie. He actually died on set, tragically. It looks like they lost Jarrett for a moment. So, Darren, go ahead and take it away with your movie choice here.
All right.
I'm back.
There he is.
So, my next one here, I'm going to go with The Crow City of Angels. Now, I got to be disappointed by this in real time as a youngster. One of the great experiences of my lifetime, being at home with my father, was we had a common love for the movie The Crow with Brandon Lee, so far as we actually really were even big fans of the soundtrack. Just a very kind of movie that took me aback and surprised me, and I really enjoyed that. The Crow City of Angels, I looked very much forward to this sequel. We'll give the only good thing about it. The soundtrack is a B+ to an A-, without question. You have Gold Dust Woman being remade by Hole, I Want to Be Your Dog by Iggy Pop, who also plays a role in the movie. And I'm Your Boogeyman by Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie did a cover of Casey and the Sunshine Band. But the movie, it featured Vincent Perez, who you put up on the screen here. At the time, he was a pretty well-known, if not, I would say, star in the country of France. And Mia Kirshner was the second lead that no one had ever heard of at the time. But regardless, it's just basically the exact same story told over again. It's just cheaper. The directing is really bad, and the acting is absolutely horrid. The fact that this made it into a movie theater in 1996 was shocking to me. There is literally nothing to remember about this movie aside from the soundtrack. And Vincent Perez he's in a bad spot to begin with because he's going to be compared to Brandon Lee whether he likes it or not. Yeah. And he was not up for the challenge, and neither was the script, neither was the production. This is just really, really bad stuff, folks. And I know I've noticed Chris in the comment section has really been jumping on and saying, man, I got to see these bad movies. Chris, just do something better with your time, brother. The Crow City of Angels is really, really putrid stuff.
We had, for a couple years, we had a bad movie night where I would have people come over and we would pick a terrible movie, and then we would all drink and enjoy it. And I feel like there's a certain fun level to it that you can get into. I'm not saying, Chris, don't get in your tub and put it on and cry. Don't do that. Have some friends over, once you can, or have them over digitally on Zoom or on Skype, which we use, Ecamm, any of those, and have a good time. Pour yourself a cocktail or two and just enjoy, relax.
Have two and then watch.
Yeah, have two and then watch.
Hey, Donald, here's some fun trivia. Since you and I were the only people that attended the very last bad movie night, do you remember what movie we watched?
Shit, no, I don't.
Varsity Blues.
That's right! Varsity Blues.
I did not want your life.
Right, I forgot about that, and I was very very mournful of it ending, because I was like, well, I think we're gonna just call it an end here, and you were the last person to you were the only person to show up that evening. That's such a fun movie too. It's not necessarily a bad movie, but there's a lot of bad lines and a lot of really awful moments in it. But I've never looked at whipped cream the same, to be honest.
Another story for another time.
I'm talking about the movie, by the way, not Darren. He didn't show up in whipped cream. That would be weird.
Yes, I do.
Very
yeah.
weird.
Now, this is another story for another time, possibly as soon as we yell cut.
All right, so I'm going to close this one out here. I'm going to bring up one for myself here. I'm going to roll through this one pretty fast. So I am talking about the one, the only. I've got Tobey Maguire up on the screen doing a little dance in a suit. So we all know what movie this is. This is the infamous Sam Raimi partially directed. More like the producers directed it and the studio directed it more than anything. But this is the Sam Raimi. Spider-Man 3, guys. Topher Grace was in this. He played Eddie Brock, a.k.a. Venom. Too small of a dude, for my opinion. Always
played him.
Yeah, always was a little too small to play Eddie Brock. There was no terror there. There was no malice.
The guy who played Sandman should have played him.
That was Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church.
And you're right, Thomas Hayden Church, but he also made a really good-looking Sandman, I will say.
True.
The only problem is that I don't feel that he really did his best as far as acting, Thomas Hayden Church. I feel like he knew what he was in, and he was like, fuck this. Like, I'm just...
This movie suffered from a lot of things, but it mainly suffered from what they did with a lot of sequels to superhero movies at that time, where they're like...
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, and too many villains.
Yeah.
Like, chill out.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, you don't always have to go... I know Batman, the original Batman, set the precedence, because when they did Batman, it was just the Joker, and it did so well, and then they threw in Catwoman and Penguin, and they were like, two villains! And then from then on, it was like, oh, after that we have to have Riddler and Two-Face, and then after that we have to have Poison Ivy and Bane, and Mr. Freeze. That's 3 villain, and then it just was too much. They were just oversaturation. And guys, this story is so bad. Like, the whole point of like how it was that the kid that played James Franco, he played
Harry Osborn.
Harry Osborn, the son of Norman Osborn, and how he learned about Spider-Man not being the one that killed his father by the butler that had no real lines whatsoever in the entire thing, telling him the story. And this guy that played the butler, if anybody's related to him or knows him, I apologize in advance. But this had to be somebody's uncle or grandfather or dad or something that was like, you got to get me in there. I need to do something. I can't act for shit, but just put me in. Because
I can save this film.
He was so awful in that role and in those lines, and like something had, like somewhere along the line, someone said, "Fuck it, let's just drink," and then they just rolled, and that's what you got.
You know what? That should have been like a deleted scene, if anything. That should be like a deleted scene.
But I love you, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
That could be the greatest line ever. And that in and of itself. But I love you, Mary Jane. The thing that really, this is a perfect example of why you cannot capture magic in a bottle twice. I know that everybody raved about Alfred Molina being a sympathetic villain in Spider-Man 2, but the fact is the Sandman character has never been sympathetic. They forced the issue, and this is what you get. This is what you get.
It's exactly what you get. It's so bad. The story's bad. The actors just phoning in, and Toby doing this song and dance routine and stuff. It's to the level of comical, like, genius, really. I mean, there's no other way to think about it now. When you think of Spider-Man 3, you think of Tobey Maguire dancing all crazy like emo and shit and like having a good time, and it's just really weird. And it doesn't work. It's a bad movie. It needs to be forgotten. So,
and I think about my small cameo in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, you had a small cameo as who were you in that? You were the one of the Sandman's daughters.
I was not one of the Sandman's daughters, you sicko.
All right.
My leather jacket was heavily featured.
Well, since we just talked about it, guys, I just mentioned the Riddler and Two-Face. Let's go ahead and take it. I've got up on the screen the one, the only, the beautiful, the worst part of this entire film, as far as I'm concerned, the one that really said, I'm going to create the ham and cheese, and I'm just going to be the most ridiculous thing in the world. Tommy Lee Jones in what movie, Darren?
Batman Forever, released 1995. Okay, so my biggest issue.
Wait, real quick. Rest in peace, Joel Schumacher.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Joel, we can critique these Batman films, but overall, a fine filmmaker and a filmmaker I came up on. So I agree. My biggest issue with Batman Forever is really the villains are just so hard to take seriously. Jim Carrey basically is self-pleasuring himself on the screen the entire time. I mean, people use chewing of scenery. I'm not going to use the M word on here, but I mean, that's really what's going on. Tommy Lee Jones, he missed Two-Face in so many respects. Yeah. I mean, he went so hard with the maniacal, but not so much with the genius aspect of him. And I think that this is really important, and I loved Aaron Eckhart's performance in Dark Knight by comparison.
Well, Billy D. Williams in the original.
It also, it felt like a live action carnival sometimes when I was watching the movie unfold. Now, I rewatched this last year. It's very bizarre visually. The palette is just strange. Like, I mean, it's like watercolors thrown all over the screen. I like, much like Crow City of Angels, this had a great soundtrack. You have Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2, Kiss from a Rose by Seal. But the reason I put it on my list is because I really just expected so much more from this franchise. I I kind of like Val Kilmer's Batman, but he was too flat for me as Bruce Wayne. Like, he did not have any personality. You know, Keaton, I don't know if Keaton got Bruce Wayne right, but he was quirky, he was fun. I watched this, and it's super, super dated. Just so dated. And I mean, it's quickly into the unwatchable category, almost at this point, with the lousy
Darren, you didn't enjoy Dr. Chase Meridian, Nicole Kidman's character?
You know, I'm not going to answer that question. Visually, yes, I enjoyed her, but, you know, that has nothing to do with nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, we have a serious audience here that's serious about comic books. And I just don't want to insult them by ever recommending Batman Forever.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
The design was so terrible. It was like hot pink and like, oh, God.
And look, we're collectors on this show. I have a Two-Face completely still in the box in relatively good shape. You can't even get $10 for that in most places.
Nope.
Nor should you.
We're gonna have to move on here to get back on time. Jarrett, I believe this was your choice, or was this Kevin? I can't remember. We're talking about probably the worst movie in the X-Men franchise, but also the most amazing casting choice of Kelsey Grammer as the Beast. We're talking about X-Men 3, The Last Stand, if I recall. And who chose that one?
It was Jarrett.
Okay.
I chose it. So my problem wasn't so much... My problem was the casting. I thought they took characters that... I think they took characters that they weren't ready CGI-wise to do yet. Like, Juggernaut should have not been done. The way they did him in Deadpool 2, like CGI-wise, oh my God. Like, wow, that's the Juggernaut. But having a big guy, like I forget the actor's name. He's like a rugby guy or whatever. But Jones.
Vinny Jones.
Vinny Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big dude, and like he's intimidating. But it looked like just a guy swimming in a big outfit, and like it just seemed there once again too much going on.
He did have the best line in the movie, though. He did have the best line in the movie.
Guys, real quick, before you say that line, say hello to my mother.
Oh,
hi, Mom.
Hello,
Kenny.
Hi, Mom.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. You also had a character that I loved that they made a villain, and then they didn't. And then because of timing wise, they didn't get to do enough with him. Madrox, the Multiple Man.
Yeah. What a shame.
Cool character, and once again, a character that now would be good. Now I think they have the CGI to do him justice.
They did a really the only good thing that Jeff Loeb did in the Ultimatum run, the miniseries for the Ultimate Universe, is he did Madrox as a suicide bomber.
Really?
Yeah, to kill other mutants. And it was
that
like
makes sense.
Genius in a way because there was so many of them. But Madrox was so taxed because he knew that when he sent them out, they were going to die and they were a part of him, that it was like affecting him psychologically. So that was also a really kind of a genius way of doing that character. So he was a really complicated dude, and it's and Jeff too, I guess. But it was a really cool idea, and so there was a lot of layers to that character, and they never got to explore it, and that's a shame.
Now, Jared, I have a question for you. Is part of your distaste of X-Men 3, is that because it was coming off X-Men 2, one of the better comic book movies of our time?
Yeah, and I think I think it's hard. I mean, well, like any trilogy, when like you can't have the same creators, the same production teams, the same people on each film to have a real smooth continuity. But because these are super big budget films and it's getting kind of tossed around, it's hard for, I think, everybody to kind of grasp the landscape every time and kind of know where to kind of hit the ground with each one. And for me, like I said, it was too big of a palette and there was too much being painted on it. And it was like giving fans what they wanted as far as like this character, this character, this character, this character. But we didn't get to have like to really focus on that character or anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just too much. Although the scene with the bridge and stuff with Magneto was really cool, with the Golden Gate Bridge. I really like that, how he was able to use his powers to move it and stuff. It's really cool.
Phoenix stuff sucked, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, not good. They tried to fix that with the most recent Dark Phoenix movie. It didn't quite work out either. I think it worked out better. It is a better film, the Dark Phoenix film. So those that haven't seen that, I actually do recommend it. It's well worth watching. There are some really good moments.
It's not bad. It's definitely not bad.
Not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to bring up one or two more here, and then we're going to have to call it, guys. I'm just going to mention real quick a couple of my choices. I did the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, as you can see on the screen. The audience is watching. It is Electro looking at a birthday cake in his refrigerator, which is one of the worst scenes in any superhero film you will ever see in your entire life. This is caliber Oscar-winning performance actor here, Jamie Foxx, performing.
I know, and they made him do this.
I didn't think that Tommy Lee Jones' character could be topped, or that Jim Carrey's character could be topped, until Jamie Foxx literally topped it in this scene, and it is awful. I recommend, don't watch the movie. Everybody watching, don't watch the movie, but watch the YouTube clip of that scene. Save yourself some time. Save yourself some time. Just watch that, and then you'll want to drink. So, I don't know. If you're not going to be drinking anytime soon, then don't watch it. But it's really bad. These Amazing Spider-Mans, directed by Mark Webb, I think they gave it to him because of his last name. Honestly. Because...
They said 500 Days of Summer was a great movie.
Oh, you know what? And it sure looked like a really big action flick with a lot of special effects and everything, and a huge budget. Get the hell out of here with that shit. They saw his last name. They thought it'd be cute. They said Webb. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change my last name to Gunn, and then they're going to hire me to direct the next Punisher film. That's what's going to happen. That's just the way it is.
Also, Donald, let's not forget, 2.5 hours this movie is, right?
Right.
Dane DeHaan is terrible as the Green Goblin.
Yes.
And this is quite possibly the strangest musical score I've ever heard. Hans Zimmer and Pharrell Williams. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. It's all over the board. It just doesn't. Guys, just watch that clip. You'll understand. Next one on my docket here is the Green Lantern movie. Another Ryan Reynolds clunker. This guy tried multiple times to play a superhero before he hit it with Deadpool. And this Green Lantern is not a Green Lantern we want to talk too much about. Now, I know that none of us really love any of the Fantastic Four movies. None of them are, like, amazing. Let's be honest. They're not winning any awards in our hearts. But they did do something very interesting and very controversial, where they made Galactus some form of a cloud. It was a very big mistake.
It was just stole from Independence Day, the ominous cloud.
Right. It was an extreme mistake. Very bad choice in doing that. It made a lot of people angry, a lot of fanboys. So what does DC do, Warner Brothers? They say, let's do the same damn thing. So they use this villain, and what's the name of the villain, Kevin?
Parallax.
Parallax, right. They use this villain, Parallax. And in the comic books, Parallax is actually Hal Jordan, in a way. He just calls himself Parallax because he's moved beyond being a Green Lantern, because he's lost his goddamn mind. So
he's all possessed.
And those that haven't read that Emerald, what is it? Emerald
Knights?
Is it Emerald Knights?
No.
Emerald Twilight?
Emerald Twilight, that's it. Read the Emerald Twilight trade if you can, or just Wikipedia it or Google it, and it'll pop up. It's a great story, a great concept, and a perfect way to ruin a character that's been around for 30, 40 years. A really perfect way to do it. Like, they just annihilated this guy. Poor Hal Jordan. And I feel like they did the same thing to him in this movie, because it's really bad and it's not worth watching. Don't try it unless you want to see Mark Strong as Sinestro. I thought he did a great job. So there's that.
Yeah, I don't dislike this movie as much as you guys do, but I think it's a massive disappointment for real Green Lantern fans.
Yep.
It looks like a very incomplete movie in many ways. I know that at the time Warner Brothers was hemorrhaging money to make this movie. It just was not planned out very well, and it became very obvious on screen because certain effects that they were achieving, we're talking about like these effects took way longer than they should have, and they had no positive effect on the quality of the film. So I'm not going to hate it, but I understand the disappointment definitely.
Okay, so we have, sorry Sammy, we have Jessica Jones up on the screen. We don't have season 1 of Jessica Jones, but we have season 2. Jarrett, really quickly before we call it an evening, I think this is going to be our last one, everybody. We'll be doing some more like this with an animated version next week. We'll be talking animated stuff. So Jarrett, go ahead and take it away, and we'll close it out after that.
So the reason we don't see Jessica Jones season 1 is because Jessica Jones season 1 was pretty great, I thought. And why?
Had a villain.
The villain, David Tennant, knocked it out of the park as the Purple Man. They did a genius job showing that guy's powers, which is actually like made for movie TV because there's not really much effect. Cage in there. They had it just what Luke Cage. They had
what is he saying?
It just was like you just had stories to it. Season 2.
This is the way season 2 was actually, is what we're hearing with Jarrett. You're breaking up quite a bit, so it's really hard to hear you.
Okay.
But this is exactly what it was for season 2 of Jessica Jones. Couldn't understand half of it.
It was her mom there was no villain. Her mom
no villain.
was like it was like She-Hulk mom. There was no villain to it.
So there was no villains. It wasn't good. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
No villain in a superhero show.
So I think we'll end it there unless somebody wants to mention really quick any of the ones that they had left on their docket. Take a minute tops to talk about it.
Real quick, the Shazam TV show from the mid-'70s. Oh my God. You go and look up some clips on YouTube. It is unbelievably bad. But you know what? Bless them. I feel bad for them. You know, they work with like, a $200 budget, a cheap 99-cent, costume for Shazam. And he really didn't do much superhero stuff.
Shazam wasn't even a big dude. It's like this little, he's just taller than the other guy that is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And like all he does.
Billy's like 32.
Yeah, all he does is like save animals and like handle transportation issues. So like if your car is like about to go off the road or something, you'll see him like running to like stop the car from going off the cliff or something like that. If your airplane's out of control, you'll see him like jump up and glide and catch the airplane and bring it down. It's like weird things like that. You save it. Literally saves a cat. Literally saves a dog. I mean, there's like. It's bad. There's some
real money that they put into that. If they had him fight the Captain America from the 70s, we might have a show.
We might have a show.
All right.
Two drunk dads at a Little League game.
Yeah. Perfect. Anybody else have anything else they want to throw in real quick?
This is a great podcast.
I'm all tapped.
We're good? All right. Okay. Well, that's it then, guys. We're going to go ahead and give it a call for the evening. Thank you for coming out, for watching us on YouTube Live here, The Real Short Box. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to have a lot of fun. Next week, we're going to do animated superhero fails. So basically, it's going to be the Superhero Fails Animated Edition, where we talk about cartoons that just fell short of anything anybody would want to watch. So it's going to be a good time. Same bat time, same bat channel next Monday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Come catch us there. Jarrett, you want to throw out some of our platforms that we have that people can listen to us on for our podcast?
Yeah, go to any of your Apple iTunes. You can go to Sprecher. Is that what it's called?
Yes. Sprecher, yeah.
Sprecher. We're on Booberry and Count Chocula. We're on. Are we on iHeartRadio?
We are.
Yes.
SoundCloud, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. We're on TuneIn. We're on Stitcher. We're on your mother's AM radio. We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
Everywhere. You can't not find us. You can find us on Instagram. Please reach out, friend us, follow us on Instagram. We've got a lot of good material that we put out, some memes, funny little things, pictures of some really great comic books that we have come in, that we talk about, some prospecting if you want to invest in comics and what's going to be worth money and later that you can invest in now and make a little bit of money later if you go to sell it. We're on Facebook. We have a page on there that's really cool, and you can check that out. It's basically our IG just reposting to Facebook, but you know, it's still cool. You can comment on there. We'll comment back. No problem.
And you can see this show and all the older shows on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, on Rumble Spoon Productions, so go to that.
Yep. And you could also probably see us at some point in time at the
luscious, homely, sweet, and lovely comic book shop.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys. Be safe.